The man who stands to carry the Republican banner in the 2016 presidential race took a step this week to rally that party around him. But it's very much a work in progress, and every day seems to add a wrinkle, complication. I don't know what it is, actually, but Sean Spicer knows what it is because he's the chief strategist and the communications director for the Republican National Committee. By the way, it is almost a week. I just want to let you know. You made it. You made it through this very difficult week, and I know it was a tough week for you
Not
and
sure
for
what that
everybody.
Means.
Well, there's a lot of press to navigate throughout this week.
I think that just means that tomorrow I have to...
Go ahead.
I think it just means less traffic tomorrow coming to work.
Okay. All right. I'll leave it to you to say it's all about commuting. But I do want to ask you, obviously, about this latest sort of dust-up, this brouhaha, this notion that there's this audio tape of what sounds very much like Donald Trump, and he said he's done it in the past, but says it wasn't him today, pretending to be his own press aide and bragging to a reporter about his divorce and his girlfriends and himself and his businesses. Does this give you pause, and are you concerned that all those people you're trying to bring into the Trump camp and vice versa might have issues with this?
No, I frankly, I think what gives me pause is the fact that on the front page of the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal, there's a story about the Clinton Foundation's nefarious activities, giving people board seats and trading favors. Hillary Clinton's under investigation from the FBI, and we're talking about an audio tape from 25 years ago about someone may or may not be calling a reporter. Mr. Trump's denied it this morning on the Today Show, as you guys know. So I think, frankly, considering the magnitude of problems that this country's facing and the issues going on the other side of the aisle that are real and substantive, the idea that we're talking about an audio tape about someone calling a reporter is, frankly, quite silly.
It's not just an audio tape. It's lying about it, because this is the accusation that Donald Trump is saying it's not him, and that to the reporter, if it is him, he is lying about who he is. So he calls, Ted Cruz Lion Ted and Crooked Hillary. Isn't character and honesty a huge issue, not just a videotape or audio tape from the past? It is important.
Sure, but he said multiple times this morning on the Today Show that it wasn't him.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I do want to ask you about another morning show, that whole forth between George Stephanopoulos on GMA about the tax returns. Those tax returns just won't leave you alone. But he said it's none of your business. Is it none of our business, Sean? It seems to be, for a lot of people, important business. How do you feel?
Well, I think Mr. Trump's got to make a decision sooner rather than later about whether or not to release his tax returns. As you know, he's filed extensively with the Federal Election Commission as to his holdings. So everyone knows what's there in terms of what he owns. All of his assets had to be reported to the Federal Election Committee. That form is out there for everyone to see. The media's done a thorough examination of that. But it's going to be up to him to decide how much further that he wants to have, members of the media go through his personal life.
Does the RNC want him to do it?
I think he's got to make a decision what's in his best interest. I think, frankly, a lot of this is a media exercise trying to figure out how much they can dig in to his personal life. So it's a decision. No.
To be clear, we are not treating him differently. No one in the press is treating him any differently than presidents and candidates for the last 40 years. You have to agree with that. Every single one of them has done it.
No, they've done it. That's my point, though, is that he's also filed very extensively as to what his holdings are with the Federal Election Committee. It is now up to him to decide whether or not he wants to take it a step further, but that's his decision to make.
So let's move on to foreign policy, because the former CIA director, who also happened to be the former defense secretary, Leon Panetta, was on New Day this morning and had a couple of things to say about the RNC's, standard bearer, presumptive nominee, and his ideas about foreign policy. Let's have a listen. I'm going to ask you about him on the other side.
I'm not sure what he stands for. I'm not sure what his positions are. He takes one position one day, he takes another position the next day. He takes positions on, immigration and building a wall, on getting rid of 11 million immigrants. He talks about distributing atomic weapons, so that it's okay if Japan gets atomic weapons, if Korea gets atomic weapons. He says these things almost as if he's not even thinking.
And then that's not the only criticism about foreign policy. David Petraeus, former CIA director as well, CENTCOM commander, former CENTCOM commander, registered Republican, said rather than making our country safer, his statements, Trump's statements, will compound the already grave terrorist danger to our citizens. Those who flirt with hate speech against Muslims should realize they are playing directly into the hands of al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. Those are some guys with big foreign policy gravitas who are coming down hard on the Republican nominee, the presumptive nominee. As the head, as the RNC, you've got to be very worried about this, as do your other members who you're trying to unify with Donald Trump.
The one thing that you left off. The one thing you left off Leon Panetta's bio is Bill Clinton's chief of staff, too. I mean, this isn't a guy who's coming at this purely, like, altruistically trying to figure out what's in the best interest of the country. He is a known partisan. He was an elected Democrat. I mean, like, so hold on. But I mean, I think it's like, let's be honest. I mean, also in that same interview, Leon Panetta went on extensively to talk about how there is some concern about what Hillary Clinton had on those emails. I mean, if both of those individuals, I think, are probably equally concerned with the amount of classified information that Hillary Clinton put on a private email server for the first time in history and is not allowed anyone to actually see it. If they want to be concerned about what's going on, they should have Hillary Clinton release the transcripts of her Goldman Sachs. So, I mean, like, let's talk about what's really, what's going on the other side. You've got a candidate who's deeply flawed. The American people don't trust her for good reason. If you want to talk about flip-flops, Hillary Clinton has done so many flip-flops, she could win gold in Rio this year, Brazil, because she is a world-class gymnastics winner when it comes to her flip-flops. So I really appreciate all the concern about our side of the party, but I think when you look at what the Democrats have, they've got a very, very flawed candidate who takes a position every day to suit the room that she's in.
There's a lot of ink for both of them, and deservedly so, as they are both seeking the highest office. And I applaud you, sir. Thank you for being on the show. I look forward to our next meeting. Thank you, Sean.
Ashley.
Have a good weekend. Get some rest, my friend.
Will do.
Sean.